So I wanted to start off by asking, many refer to you as one of the most influential car designers of our time. What do you think you've done differently to kind of set yourself apart over your career?
Everybody has special qualities, I guess, but a lot of it comes down to what I would say high levels of obsession and passion, mainly. I think those are the two factors that get you pretty far in life. And if you play your cards right, always look for the next best opportunity to move to. Don't ever be satisfied with your work. Pretty much never fall in love with it, although you want to. It's a death trap almost. But if you're always pushing to make something a little bit better and never really satisfied with that level that you think is good enough, you're gonna get far, I think. So it's important to really push the limits and push your creative abilities and again, be obsessed and very passionate about it.
Really interesting. And so, you've held various positions across major car companies, including Ford, BMW, and Ferrari, just to name a few. And now you own your own global product design brand. So what drove you to start your own company, and what kind of advice would you offer somebody, designer or an innovator, who's aspiring to become an entrepreneur themselves?
What drove me to sort of leave a profession that I'm absolutely obsessed and passionate about, which is the automotive industry, and especially the design side of it. And I've been doing it for quite a while, 3 decades. And it's been an incredibly fun ride and very many dips and a lot more highs than anything else. So it is tough, especially when you kind of reach the top of where you're at, to want to leave the profession. But I kind of made a decision after those 3 decades that I was clogging up roads with more and more cars. And that really doesn't seem to me to be the future of mobility. You're helping society in a certain way, but you're really not on the other hand, because you're creating volume, stress, and a lot of factors in the car world that pretty much aren't seen by today's generation of kids as what the future should entail or be like. So I thought the chance is now to really make a personal impact myself on the world of design in such a way that if I form my own company, I can choose the products I want to design in such a way that they do benefit society.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of things out there that you can do that still haven't been done, and it's just a matter of putting the time and energy into these specific projects. And so I thought that's probably going to make a lot more of a impact to society, and of course satisfaction is a huge part of design. Getting satisfaction out of your products being accepted and doing well in the markets, but basically it's a little bit more of that hard to say or giving back sort of approach to the world. And I'm really fascinated with all the potential projects that I can be doing that do move in that direction of helping people to be happier in life.
Yeah, that sounds great. And you mentioned before when we were chatting about these 5 kind of rules that you kind of live by or sort of work within innovation. Would you mind just telling us about that?
Yeah, the values basically. I mean, when I got out of the car design business, not too long ago actually, but and I started wanting to do these things, I was getting approached by quite a few companies that would ask me to basically set the design for their company or to create designs for them. And it just became almost too much, so I really had to set up a few, not only values, but filters, and they're ones that really help me to sort of stay on course and make sure I don't do something that is, just more about a thing rather than the other. So the 5 values, I'll name 4. Okay. One is basically the project has to make a lot of fun. It has to be a lot of fun, so that's obvious. The other one, it has to make a difference to society. It has to bring society up to another level in the sense that it improves the world. Third is it has to be absolutely innovative. It has to bring something new to the market and do it in a better way, not just be new, but have a new way of working at McLaren as opposed to other companies where we actually wrap engineering and design together at the initial point. I mean, that could be criticizable because it doesn't sort of allow the designers to work freely and express themselves creatively at the beginning of the process. What is cool about them is the way they're actually being styled for performance and for efficiency, for function. What we can do as designers is take those elements on that kind of product and beautify them in a way that doesn't cause any detriment to those values that we're looking for downforce and efficiency. Then we can do it, but we have to do it also in a way that is McLaren's design language, which is minimalist styling in a way that function leads, of course, but function and design go hand in hand. I believe function equals form, performing because function. They both have to work well together. P1 is absolutely a single-minded approach. We're going from making the car the absolute most performance-wise driver's car on the market today. And you often get quoted or asked what is the top speed or what is the horsepower, what is the weight of the car. Well, all those factors, when you mix them together, gives you actually the total efficiency of the car. And what is probably the most determining factor is how fast can you actually use that in everyday life. We're not doing a dragster, we're not doing see how fast we can go around a skid pad on. But basically, if you can combine those factors all in an optimal way, you can get a very good lap time on different tracks around the world. We have active aerodynamics, which allow us to set the car up for specific types of driving, specific types of roads. So what we're doing as a goal is basically to make that car ultimately the fastest car around any track. Engineered. If I'm talking about the design, it looks engineered. So I'd say engineered or engineered design. Yeah. There's a new one coming too, isn't there? Might be a 2023 talk about it coming back. I would just say, that's muscle, modern muscle.
Modern muscle.
Yeah, modern muscle for sure. It's vanilla, but it's more like a Baskin Robbins vanilla, where it's a special vanilla, but it's still vanilla. It doesn't make you go wow, but it's nice. But everybody thinks it's nice, and it's just nice. Well, I'd have to use two. It's raw, all refined, because it's not raw in the sense like an F40 or something, but it's refined raw. The package, and if you ever sit in one of those, you feel like you're looking out of a post office slot, a mailbox slot. But it's raw, refined raw. I mean, their power train is pretty incredible. Clever. They've gone into a market where they have to compete with some pretty heavy hitters in that market, but they've come up with some solutions on the design that make it very unique, I think, in terms of storage and things like that, and a unique look. So I'd just say it was clever. Instant desire. It's because it's nostalgic. That is that modern nostalgic approach that I was telling you about. If that car had continued throughout generations, this is probably what it would look like today. So I'd say it's desirable. It's funky. Yeah, it's definitely, pure is your 992, because you can do stuff to it that if you look at the Singer, there are a few companies out there. You wish there were more Singers out there, that guys like him. There are quite a few of them, but that level there, it's rarefied atmosphere, rarefied air where they work. Yeah.
Thank you very much for taking time to have an interview for my blog. Mm-hmm. Before we start, I would like to give brief information for the people who are going to watch this movie, this footage. Frank is the most influential car designer for the last 1 decade. We started working in Ford USA, as far as I know, then BMW, and you designed the new Mini. Mm-hmm. Then you moved to Fiat Group.
No, yes, the group, yes. Yeah.
And Maserati.
Yes.
Ferrari.
Yes.
Lancia, Fiat, Alfa Romeo.
Yes.
And now McLaren.
No.
So it was a quite long time. Before we start talking, I would like to ask something about your early age. You were born in Morocco, Casablanca.
Yes.
Based on your father's job, I think you moved to many different countries. Mm-hmm. And as I am from Turkey, I want to ask something. I heard that, your Turkish is quite well.
No, it's tough for now.
And you lived in Istanbul.
Yes.
How long did you live and can you describe some?
Yeah, sure. It was an exciting part of my life. I was growing up. I was between the ages of 11 and 17. I was in Istanbul, going to an international school. And of course, being so young, you can learn the language very quickly. I enjoyed learning the language, made lots of good friends also there that I'm still in contact with, some of them. And I loved it. I mean, to the fact that even today it's my favorite city in the world. Of all the cities I've been to, I think Istanbul is my most preferred city because it has so much culture, people, food, everything about it. I love it.
And let's talk about the design. I think many people like me wondering, how did you become a car designer? What was the main motivation, or what was triggered the moment you saw something? Or
yeah, you could always say I think there's a moment, but for me, I think you almost don't become a car designer. I think you almost have to have it inside of you. You have to discover it. Maybe that you have a talent for it, of course. But like most people that are that can be successful at what they do with a lot of effort, of course, they find almost a natural ability sometimes to do it. You can see people who are prodigies when they're young age, like Mozart, or for people who start very young. They don't choose almost to become this, they almost can do it naturally. It's just a natural thing for them to do. I'm not anywhere near like that kind of level, but when I was about 10 or 11, I remember I was walking, it was a Sunday in March, and I was walking with my father in 1969, I remember, and I stopped on this road in Casablanca called Rue Mohammed V, and it was because I saw a car that changed actually me for the rest of my life when I saw it. I never knew that something so beautiful could be made by a person, you know. It was a car, of course, it was the Ferrari Dino, and I didn't want to leave. My father said, okay, let's look at it for a little bit, and after 15 minutes he was ready to go, but I still wanted to stay, and I was crying when he took me away because I still wanted to stay there. So that probably was the moment when I discovered that inside of me I had a love for beautiful products, especially cars, because my father had a dealership in the mid-60s. He started the dealership, and of course my passion for cars and for design slowly came together, and I found that, you know, around my early 11, 12 years old, I started to draw cars. Before that, I drew everything. But then I started to get really interested in just drawing cars that I would love to see on the road. Not necessarily thinking it was a profession, but just something I loved to do. And then eventually, after I finished my high school, and I raced motorcycles for some years. After that, my father almost asked me to become serious again with life, get a job or to do something very responsible, I think. So I chose to study car design in Los Angeles, in Pasadena, at the Art Center College of Design, and that's when I began almost officially to dedicate myself to car design.
As I mentioned in the beginning, you've been worked in many different car companies, and the designs, the products you made became successful. Fiat 500, New Mini, Ferrari 612, F430, McLaren MP4, 12C. So is there a way, your secret that you make a car so desirable that for us we always want to have that car?
I think, I mean, of course the car has to have a strong identity, and it cannot be bland or boring. It has to have some excitement, visual excitement when you look at it. So you almost have to become a successful designer, you have to desire this car. You have to have an emotional connection with the product. But a lot of it, I think, comes from designing something that is, objective, I think, is to try to achieve timelessness with your design, that it doesn't look old after a few years, or it doesn't look like it belongs to another time, that it actually stays young forever, almost, if you could do that. And a lot of that comes from simplicity in the design. A lot of people, you know, design and they add so much to the car that it becomes very complicated design, and it's almost like a language that you will never understand because it's too complicated. So a lot of the things that I try to design are not easy designs, but based basically on being simply designed, but with correct proportions and no bling, what we call bling, where it's just added onto the car for no reason at all.
The whole subject of what I do, car design or industrial design now with different products, is that for a long, long time it was done manually. In other words, we drew the concept, the ideation that we had in our head for a new product, we drew it on a piece of paper and we made it look very beautiful. We had competitions with other designers to see which one would be the final product that would be chosen to later go into production. So, and that is a process of, when you're speaking about a car, maybe it's 4 or 5 years of development and maybe 2 years for the design. Yeah. So the problem now, or the challenge now, is to reduce the time of design. So now if you do the process like we did before, again, it's 1 to 2 years, but now with digital design, where we don't actually even build the car, we had to go through a process before of making the design in clay, in a type of material, in full size. And then we had to bring engineers in and they had to look at it and check it. We had to bring the finance people in. They had to say this is too expensive to make like that. Engineers would say you can't make it like that because we can't shape it. There was a long development gestation period for design. So now with the digital, we can create the car in less than a week digitally. We can put on the goggles and we can look like we're really in the presence of the car.
Yeah.
So, and we can change the color, we can change the shapes, we can change anything we want. And we can walk around the product. So you experience the car like a hologram, like a virtual reality almost combination. It's not perfect. It's close, but it's not perfect because the advantage of doing it by hand is you have the human touch. It looks like it was made by a person. When you start using computers and digital methods, it looks like it was made by a machine. That's why a lot of the cars that you see today on the road, they're not love at first sight. You have to get used to them.
Yeah.
They're not natural. So we have to learn to combine the natural side of designing something by hand with the digital speed that we get from digital, and you have to make it love at first sight. And that is difficult, but we're getting there.
Yeah. What do you think the opportunities do you see arising as a result of these trends?
Opportunities that the customer will benefit from having more choice sooner. At the moment, if you like a car, say a BMW 7 Series, maybe that's not the best example, but if you like, for example, let's say a BMW 7 Series, and you don't want to keep the car for 10 years, you don't want to keep it for 5 years, you want to change it, maybe every 3 years. There is no BMW 7 Series in 3 years. You have to wait a long time.
Yeah.
So your car gets older, you have more problems with it. Of course, you can lease it, but if you buy it, it's a different proposition. But you want to probably be able to renovate keep your taste and your level of buying at a certain level. So you don't want to drive cars that are old-fashioned or not at the latest edge of technology.
What I like to do a lot, I have a very deep passion for the animal kingdom and for biology and evolution. What I try to do is find the principles in nature that make products do what they look like they do. It's often said that form follows function. I think that's the biggest lie, the most hard to say, but the most stupid thing people can say is that form follows function. I think the correct way to put it is that form equals function. If you look at any animal or product that's designed to work super efficiently, not actually designed, they're an evolution of a design that now works in such a way that it's absolutely perfect for what it has to do. So when you see a cheetah in full sprint, for example, that I've often mentioned, or a fish at full speed, the body of the animal or the organism is designed perfect to do that. There's the beauty of the product. If you look at military aircraft, they're not designed to look beautiful, but they have an attraction that is born out of the efficiency of the design. So what I want to try to do, and my objective always is to bring nature into the design, natural shapes that, for example, will never shock you because they look natural. And I think that's also an element of the timelessness.
I would like to ask something about the McLaren MP412C. As I look at the car, I saw something similar with sharks. Front air intake, some details in the headlights. Is it my assumption or?
No, that's true. It's what we call biomimicry. Regrettably, not enough designers probably use that. But what better ideas can you get than from nature, where it's already proven? It's the product of hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, so you know that it works perfectly, or it's demonstrated to work perfectly. So really nothing is new out there. It's just opening your eyes and realizing that there are ways of doing things better and improving efficiency, and just trying to assimilate that or make your designs take that sort of influence into the efficiency of what you need to design.
I would like to ask some personal questions. You are a car designer, and I know something about your passion to motorcycles.
Oh yes, yeah.
I think you bought something quite recently, something really exciting. I'm not a motorcycle person, so I know you bought something. Could you
It's a virus that I have inside my system. So once you have this virus, it never goes away, especially the kind of passions you have for men's things, I guess you could say, but of course women like these things too. But for me, it's a deep passion of mine that anything mechanical, especially boats, cars, and motorcycles. My real deepest passion, of course, is for motorcycles. There's a simplicity to motorcycle design, and also it's the same joy, I think, on a motorcycle. A motorcyclist can understand why a dog puts his head outside the window of a car. It's the feeling of the air, the feeling of being you together with a motorcycle, and very much in control. That's one of the biggest enjoyments of my life.
And as a car designer, many people are wondering, What do you drive, a car or a motorcycle? If you're
Actually, I prefer to walk. That's one of my other passions is hiking, but of course, it's a little bit too far to walk. So if the day is perfect, I will ride my Ducati. It has to be perfect because I don't I value my bikes and my life too much to ride on salt or in the wet. So the bike is my preferred way of coming. If not, then I like to feel at one with the car, almost like I'm wearing a suit. So I drive a Bravo Smart.
Smart, that's excellent.
It's like wearing the car.
Yeah. As my blog is related with fashion, which fashion brands do you familiar with? Which type of brands do you feel that they could reflect your design?
Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
lots of them, and there's the flashy ones, there's the very subdued brands that make a statement only because they're subtle. But one brand that I really like, I'm not saying to support them, that I really like because it sort of follows the same type of design philosophy that I like is Ermenegildo Zegna. So I like that brand very, very much.
And I think are we going to see some McLaren clothes, shoes designed by you?
We have a merchandising program that we're beginning, of course. It needs to be done because the customers always would like to have something that reminds them of their car, while they're living their other types of lives, whether it be at home or in the office or going out. So there are a lot of products that could fit the bill of being a McLaren merchandise article, but we have to be also very selective and not just put McLaren's name on any product. We have to make sure that the product that we're either designing, representing, or have any contact with has the same values, of course, as McLaren. So anything we do will be very, very recognizable as a McLaren, uniquely McLaren designed piece. So that can be anything from watches to clothing or whatever. But I can assure you that whatever we design as merchandising will be a very serious piece of merchandising.
Okay, thank you very much for taking time with my interview for my blog. It was nice to meet with you.
My pleasure.